except for the colonel when I got, and I won't go into this either, but maybe. When I was in the Iranian Hostage Raid, I had got involved with that was the Iranian Hostage Raid.
Yes.
I'm at school at command and staff going in an Air Force comptroller school. And I'm supposed to go, I'm on the fast track. I'm below the zone, all this. I just made lieutenant colonel. And so I was supposed to go to the Pentagon to get, some points for a colonel. Well, so about a month before I graduated, I got this call from MPC, military personnel, that says, you're going to Grissom Air Force Base in Indiana. And I said, and what's going on, Well, you've been selected by the Chief of Staff of the Air Force. You're the only one that qualified.
Oh my gosh.
And what they were doing was SAC Strategic Air Command had only refueled over 15 or 18,000 feet, which is controlled airspace. And so you had to, we were flying 130s, which they hadn't done before. And the 130s, they were going into the raid at 3,000 to 5,000 feet.
Oh my gosh.
Are those
low,
the transports?
Right?
The big...
No, the gunships.
Got it.
And
and
the carriers. And so because the runway in Egypt was only 8,000 feet. Well, if you took a tanker full of fuel, it takes 12,000 feet. So we'd fill a regular tanker up half full, and we'd fill up half full, and then we'd go to about 7,000 feet and rotate. Hope we didn't lose an engine, and then our receiver tankers, which is what I was the head of, would take off and refuel, fill up, and then we'd go and catch the 130s. And the problem with that was, which I found out after I got there, was that their top speed was 190 knots. Well, that was 10 knots below our stall speed.
Oh, no.
So I had, I put 20-degree flaps down.
Oh, my gosh.
So it lowered our stall speed.
That's why they call it strategic air command.
Yeah.
That's the strategic portion.
Well, and so they were looking for a guy with low level experience, CIA experience, because we were doing some stuff with the CIA, and receiver pilot. So I had to be, and luckily I'd already checked out as a receiver.
Yeah.
Right.
And my forward air control experience was all low level.
Yep.
So
not too
bad. Was that exciting?
So I was the only one.
For you? Was it exciting to be over there? Was it scary?
Well, in the raid?
Yeah.
Well, not really, because we actually didn't happen, right?
Right. That was in 1980, right?
It was more exciting for getting ready for it.
Okay.
Because we had
because you had to prep.
And had a few instances doing that, and then we didn't really know what we were going to be doing.
Right.
We didn't know it was actually the raid. We were. Everybody had their little things they did, and
on a need to know basis.
You didn't know the whole story.
Right.
That makes sense.
So, anyway,
very fascinating.
Not too bad for a farm boy from Indiana.
Yeah.
Past the fire, past the sounds, moonshine through the clouds, saddle up, 'cause there's no stopping me now.
Here we are. Welcome again to another episode of Living Well Together.
Big life in a small town. And we have a very special guest today.
Holy moly. And we'll probably put in there's always a little preamble and then there's always a little post game for the front and the back of this. But we are so fortunate today to have Fred Pumroy with us today.
What a story.
And he's going to give you some of the highlights and some of the lowlights and some of the details. But we are just super, super fortunate
Oh my gosh.
to have one of our
Really?
top community guys
Yeah.
who makes things happen. Fred, give us just a little bit of background. Everybody already knows you're one of my favorite golf partners. In fact, Graham and I have played with you and your family.
Good times.
Yes. But give us a little background. Where are you coming from? Your Air Force history, and how you landed here in Fairborn.
Okay, well, I started off as a old farm boy, milking cows and baling hay, so I'm used to the small town atmosphere, like 1,000 in my town instead
Holy
of
cow.
35,000. So we only had like 24 in our class.
24?
16 were girls and 8 were boys. So guess what?
The odds were good.
Well, really good with sports because you had to make all the teams.
And basketball was your thing, right?
Yeah, basketball, track, cross country was what I really excelled in.
Okay.
But so anyway, I wasn't a studious person because I was out milking cows all the time and doing the work in the farm. So my grades weren't real good, but for some reason my coach saw something in me. And my senior year, my mother put me in school like at 4 years old in first grade. We didn't have kindergartens. So my birthday's in November, so I turned 5, but when I was a freshman, I was like 5 foot tall and 105 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
So I wasn't a great athlete at the time.
Well, you'll see from the photograph though, where we put Fred on. You'll see he's no longer just 5 feet tall. He's sprouted.
Ended up my senior year I was 6 foot and then grew 2 more inches in college, but
Oh, wow.
I finally bloomed in my senior year, and so like cross country, I won all the dual meets until the last quarter of a mile in the county tourney where I broke some bones in my foot and fractured my bones in my foot. So I finished, but I ended up at second.
Yeah.
My
With a broken
teammate
foot.
beat me by 6 seconds.
Finished with a limp, but finished strong.
Yeah. And then we had to go to the sectionals and the regionals and the state. And we got all the way to state. with the team.
Wow.
Now, we'd have been in the top 5 in the state if I wouldn't have hurt my foot, but because I got pains or cramps and stuff. Anyway, so we ended up tied for 7th in the state for that little bitty school. It's the first time. Indiana, you don't have.
Indiana,
You don't have at that time, the flights.
Right.
That's amazing. So it's like throughout the whole state, not like broken down into different sections. That's
play the big
amazing.
boys.
Yeah.
Anyway, but from that, I was able to get a scholarship. And again, I wasn't planning on going to school because, I really wasn't.
Wasn't your favorite thing?
Well, I wasn't groomed that way.
Yeah.
So, but my coach believed in me, and so he convinced me. I had a full ride to Texas A&M and about 3 other schools.
Wow. And
I ended up at Ball State. Well, and so it did well there. We were first in the nation my sophomore year, and then about that time I got into ROTC. Of course, Vietnam War was starting to come out.
Okay.
And so people are getting drafted as soon as you get graduated. So I decided my dad had an airplane for about a year, and so I got the feel of the airplane with the old Army trainer that we had out in the pasture. And so we had full acrobatics and that. So I had the little nudge to be in the Air Force. So I ended up, even though I wasn't too smart, I passed the test for being a pilot. So at least I was good in math. And,
So you're good at underestimating yourself, is what you're saying.
at that point in my life, yeah. So I barely graduated in college too, but then I went in the Air Force, got married, and so we in my senior year, and of course then we became pregnant, and so another one of my captains in the ROTC helped me out, and he got me into the first class of so I could get paid for it because baby was due in September, so
Wow.
he got me in the first class. What I didn't know is the first 2 classes were academy grads and distinguished grads, except for me.
Again.
So
Snuck right in. They didn't even know.
yeah, and so and then I had some incidents there. I ended up with hepatitis.
Oh,
and,
my goodness.
And washed back 2 classes, which ends up you'll see in my whole life.
Yeah.
I've been blessed.
Yeah.
I think God's kind of been watching over me.
Kind of. Yeah.
And because that watched me pass 2 classes, I went from the top 7 to the bottom 7. So
wow.
instead of getting 105s, which only about 2 or 3 of the guys came back from Vietnam that flew.
Okay.
And so I'd probably be one of those that didn't make it.
Yeah.
And then, so I got the 135. Well, which was a blessing because another instance where they messed up my order. So instead of going, we were on the way to STED, which is survival school. Well, the police were trying to find me all the way out there. I had my old 64 Beetle Bug.
Oh my gosh.
And they didn't find me until I got to school. And then they said, well, you're supposed to be at this the advanced air training.
So they were trying to track you down to get you to the right location.
To California.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, so we get to California and say,
Yeah.
well, you're already, the class is filled. So go back to your first base. So I get over there. Well, the good part about this is that I didn't have to pull alert. I wasn't checked out. So I flew anytime I wanted with the Stanival guys.
Yeah.
And then also made a basketball team.
Is that right?
The base basketball team.
Yep.
So we went on the road with that. And I got all these other staff jobs. So I learned the way the base worked and scheduling and everything.
Yeah.
And so what that did was it gave me like a couple hundred hours my first year, which the other co-pilots were, maybe got 100 at the whole year. So I had like 600-700 hours my first 2 years. I even flew 24-hour missions in the B-52 to get my hours. And so in 66 when I finally got to school. And then in 68, I had enough hours to become an aircraft commander. Well, I was still a lieutenant. So I was the youngest aircraft commander in Strategic Air Command at the time.
That's amazing.
And then and I got that. And then so I got selected to go to the Air Force National Convention, met a whole bunch of generals, escorted Barry Goldwater for a night.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Me and my fraternity brother that I went to. And so,
significant.
and I could see, shake hands with all the astronauts. So that's a big deal.
That is a really big
You
deal.
have had a charmed existence.
Yes, it's so
And,
amazing.
it's funny when you see Fred playing golf, or when you meet Fred, just bump into him in the grocery store or here in our town.
Yes, exactly.
You have no idea how extraordinary your life has been.
Make sure you shake hands with Fred.
No, I do. I've been blessed.
No, I mean the average person bumping into you would have no
has no
knowledge
idea.
of these things.
I have a
He's so
question.
humble.
I have a question for you, Fred. How did you and your wife meet?
At Ball State.
Ball State? Was she in school there, or?
Yeah. And so she, her roommate was a girlfriend of one of my fraternity brothers.
Okay.
So he introduced me.
Okay, like a double date thing.
Well, no, I met her at the Tally Ho with my hat and gray shirt from the outlet. I got on shorts and a pheasant feather in my hat.
Goodness.
That was the first time. And she actually went out with me after that.
She did, even though she saw your little getup.
So I quit going with the other 5 girls I was with.
Oh boy.
Good choice. I've seen pictures of your beautiful wife, and that was a really good choice.
It was, yeah.
You guys have been married for how long?
It'll be 60 years next month.
Amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, that is
amazing to
really.
put up with me for that long. That's for sure.
She should get some kind of
Oh
trophy.
yeah, she's an angel.
I think you guys are a match made in heaven.
So
That's for sure. No, I was very curious. And you have children?
now 3 children, yeah.
Wonderful.
And they're doing well. They all live in the area. One lives over in London, in the lake over there. But they're all doing well. and
fantastic.
all working. I don't have to support them. That's good. And 8
Productive
grandchildren.
humans, yes.
And they gave me 8 grandchildren and 10 great grandchildren.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and I know that you have a book that you did. Was it published this year, 2023?
No, it was actually initially published in 2006,
2006. Okay.
but I republished it
Okay.
just recently.
Okay, that's what I thought. I saw the publishing date is
Trying
2023.
to put together a website and all that good stuff. But
We'll get a copy of the cover. We'll get a picture that'll show up in your segment on the.
Well, it's called Born to Live on the Edge, Experiences from Living on a Farm to Flying Combat Sorties in Vietnam to Retirement. One of the things that was in your description was talking about how your dad had the plane when you were 8 years old. Right. Did you fly that plane when you were 8?
Well, he wouldn't let me land or take off, but I flew the acrobatic stuff, and I got flight in the air, so that was kind of neat.
That's amazing. And it was an acrobatic plane?
Yeah. It was an old, like a Super Cub, but it you can do everything. You just had to get out of upside down because the oil would,
Gravity never
we don't
quits.
need to know. So do you think that was part of what made you interested in being?
I think so. Oh, yeah.
Like early on.
It was a kick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I loved reading that because, our grandsons are, 10 and 12. And I think about them flying airplanes and I'm like, that's very interesting.
Farm kids always had an advantage.
do.
Though. You learn to drive sooner than average kids.
yeah.
You're working. It's a completely different lifestyle. Big advantages most of the time.
Driving a pickup and tractor, I couldn't even reach the pedal in the tractor.
Is that right?
I had to
Put some cushions under the seat and and so when did you retire from the military? And you retired at what rank?
Lieutenant Colonel.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So that was another story we won't get into, but it's in my book how I got passed over because this guy, when I got the Iranian Hostage Raid, well, the wing commander didn't know why I was there because the only one other person knew why I was there. So the first 6 months I was just getting, back in the saddle, so to speak, because I was here in the staff. I hadn't flown for 5 years. And so we had a promotion party for lieutenant colonels, and it was about $300 or $400 I put on my club bill. And then about 2 or 3 months later, being from Indiana, I had my family and all my fraternity brothers and friends.
Yeah.
And for another $300 or $400, well, they had a closed form that went for lieutenant colonels and colonels. They had a closed form that the endorsers could kind of,
Take care of things.
Influence.
Yes, take care of things.
And so he wrote me, I didn't find this out till later, but he wrote me up as being a suspected alcohol abuser. And so that
Because you had all these people on your tab.
Yeah.
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 But it looked like it was all yours.
Yeah. Well, it was the one bill. So,
Yes.
yeah. So anyway, that was a blessing in disguise later on.
Yeah.
Because when I got passed over, of course,
Yeah.
got some other people take care of me again. And so I had a consultant job with Dayton Aerospace. And then I started, another person said from the Small Business Liaison Office said, we're having problems for companies. They can't get on base. They don't know where to go. Huh. So you got to think about being a multiple rep.
Oh.
And so I said, well, what's that?
Yeah.
So I figured it out. And Gene Waite and Jim Kirchner from the Dayton Aerospace were contracts guys. So they helped me format some contracts to keep me out of trouble. So that started this multiple rep business. So I rep companies for about 10 years.
That's amazing.
Helping them get business on the base. And then I also did studies and stuff, and I'd bring people, the engineers that were retired. And I'd in fact, started another company that was a Chapter S company that Mary ended up being the president of because I couldn't sell. It was to buy computers, and so I couldn't do that myself because of the regulations. I became her consultant.
So she was your boss.
She was my boss.
I love it.
I did all. Well,
Yet again.
I know, I get it.
I think I almost got divorced over that because what I didn't know is that we were handling classified information, but not at the house. We stored it at Ball Systems as a company.
Okay.
It was our sub.
Right.
And we won the contract at the headquarters. And so she became the not only the president, but the classified officer, security officer.
Got it.
So she had to read this book and take the test.
And the statute of limitations has since expired on all these things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So the company is no longer in business. So anyway, so did that. And then about 95, probably about 10 years later, one of the companies hired me, and so I did that for a couple of years, and then I was going to retire. Well, that's about the time period when I started getting more involved with the city. I was on a betterment committee, worked with the planning committee and the parks, and that's where I got to know Dr. Horton.
Okay. Yeah.
So then they talked me into running for city council. So then I did that in 1999.
Yeah.
And then I did that for 8 years. Unsuccessfully ran for in 2006 for county commissioner against Rick Perales.
Okay.
Now we're real good friends. I mean, I'm glad he got it.
I was going to say that was another blessing. He got the job.
Because I was really doing it just to make sure Wright Patton and Wright State was involved with the community.
Sure.
So, anyway, then I ended up with being deputy mayor for the 78 and now 2008 and 9. And then I started getting more involved. And so, in fact, back in 2001 was when the Teddies approached me about saving the theater.
Oh, wow.
So that was, I first started in that. So I was involved with the trying to raise money and modify that until we gave it back to the city in 2015.
Is that when it went back to the city?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
now they're working on it.
Phoenix
Yep.
Which is technically then you were successful in saving the theater.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was
because that
scheduled for demo.
was the deal.
Right.
I said, if it goes back to the city,
Right.
you make sure it stays.
Got to stay up.
So they've honored that.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That'll be fun if they can get that going, don't you think?
oh yeah,
It's such
it's
a
a
classic
good
building.
building. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it held 1,000 people.
1,000.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So you and you like being in a small town.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the people are, what I like about it is not everybody. You always have the negative people, but
Yeah.
But there's many people that are volunteers, and if you need something, they're there to help you straighten it out.
Yeah. One of your passions is consolidating resources a couple of different ways, right?
Yeah. In fact, right after I ended up retiring from the city, I guess you will. But
More
then
projects.
Dr. Horton, just before he passed away, we got together and created the Fairborn Heritage Foundation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so you won't see that.
Yeah.
anymore.
I'm gonna make a note of that. Yeah, we'll make sure we
I
make the
forgot
note.
about that one,
That's
but-
okay.
but,
Heritage Foundation?
Yeah, Heritage Foundation. That's under the Greene County Community Foundation.
Okay.
So they got me involved in that too. So I'm still on their board too. And and kind of overseeing that Fairborn Heritage Foundation. And so it has it's an umbrella for if you wanted to have a fundraiser for a certain project, you could go through that as under our umbrella as a affiliate of Green Giving.
Okay.
And then you would that automatically qualifies you for a 501c3.
Tax exempt
The
status.
tax exempt status.
Okay. Got
And the
it.
good part is Green Giving takes care of all the paperwork.
Right.
Yeah.
990s and all that stuff.
Oh, that's
So-
awesome.
So we started that and ended up that we had all the school sports accounts in there. And I got Christmas in Action, the Fairborn Christmas Project. And we had a bunch of the parks projects in there, but now we pulled those out and they were under Parks Foundation now. But so it's kind of adjusted. But So that was a good thing that went on. And
Yeah.
then about 2012, I really started getting into it because
Yeah, all this
Because you
has just
weren't-
been on the surface, just dabbling.
I was kind of playing
like a
more,
preview,
more
yeah.
golf than anything in those days. Then about 2012, they talked me into being the president of the military,
Miami
military
Affairs.
officers, no, the Military Officers Association of America, the Dayton chapter.
Okay.
About 300 members of the Dayton area. And so did that for 3 years. And then at the same time, 2012, the Lions Club was really going down. And I was already a member of the Lions
Okay.
Rotary, but I couldn't do too much since I was on council,
Yeah.
except for help for fundraisers. Well,
Sure.
since the Lions Club was going under, and I got helped Dottie Mead get together with the book,
The Literacy Project?
the book that they sell,
Andy and Elmer.
Andy and Elmer,
Right.
and so I kind of did a little bit of that, and then then I ended up as president of the Lions Club.
Okay.
So they were talking about going to Beaver Creek and joining. I said, no way, that's going to happen under my watch. So I took it over. I have a goal of being 60. It went from 12. I got my kids and their spouses all to start.
Yeah.
All your cubs.
Yeah, get that to start serving the community.
Right.
Got the mayor, the chamber director, the senior center director, a couple of councilmen, a couple of school board people, and a couple of preachers,
Okay.
ministers.
Never heard.
Gather
to
them
get
all
that.
together.
And we ended up, I missed my goal by 3 because 3 people died, but I ended up with 57 in 3 years.
Whoa, that's
and
awesome.
Now we're up to about 84 and still growing. So it's really, I can sit back.
Do they still meet over there where the pool was?
No, we sold that
Okay.
in about 2009, but we made it to senior center
Got it.
now. And so that's going good. And of course, Rotary's going good. And then stayed with the senior center. And so, in fact, one of my accolades was when I was president of the board for the senior center, Ken Collier
Yes.
was the manager, and he quit to go to Green Cats. Well, then so I was able to hire Ellen.
Got
that
it.
was one of my
That's
successes.
good. Yes. Oh, I love
She's
that,
done a
Brett.
great job.
Yeah.
And so I'm still on the finance board, and I drove until last year, all those years. So
That's wild.
still help her out whenever she needs it because she does the same for me.
Yeah.
And then, in fact, 2012 also is when the community center was deactivated. In other words, it was going really well until then, but they lost their money, and so they closed. So I talked the Lions Club into continuing the Christmas project that they had done before. So luckily they had about $2,500 in their account yet. And I talked to the gal that was doing it to give me her list, and
Yeah.
so
You still do that every year?
do that every year.
Wow.
And the problem is now I had to cost me about $20,000 for the vouchers, because what we do is I get to go out to the churches and other organizations. So I get to about 170 sponsors for the families. Unfortunately, we had 675 families. And so those that don't get sponsored, we give them vouchers.
Okay.
And so it's $40 for the head household and $10 for everybody else up to $100. And so we had all of those.
That need grows every year.
675 families?
Yeah. The year before it was 460. So
my
it's
gosh, Fred.
increasing.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, families in the community can sign up for the Christmas project if they are seeking assistance at the holidays.
Right.
And they can then either get sponsored by an organization or an individual, and this is what's happened, the need has exceeded the participation. they get gift vouchers for, is it Kroger, or they can?
Kroger's a Save-A-Lot.
Got it.
And so they cooperate with us. So we have a little voucher that we print out that tells them how much they can use
Okay.
spend. And then they do that and then charge me they can only have 2 weeks to do it.
Yeah.
That's
And then,
smart.
And what we do is in the whole month of October, we spend signing at Fish. We sign
okay.
because that's where automatically
Sure.
qualified because
Okay. They've already got the list going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jane's slated to be with us in the not too
Yeah,
distant
good.
future.
Yeah.
So we'll have her here as well.
and we work with her to update our information, contact information. It works out a win-win for everybody.
So when you think back to being on the farm as a young person, to your level of commitment to community today, what would you say has been the driving force for you? You do an extraordinary amount of things, usually behind the scenes, that people don't know about. They're going to know now.
Yeah.
But what's your driving force for those things?
It's probably my parents because even though we lived out on the farm, the only time we got to town was we went to church.
Yeah.
Every Sunday we went to church, and he taught Sunday school. And my grandfather helped build a church, and so out on the farm we never locked the doors. It was open, and even when I left, they moved into town and they never locked the doors, and people were willing. And he my dad would hire like even some convicts, which didn't work out a couple of times, but
Don't have to tell us this story.
or kids, high school kids
Yeah.
were having problems. They'd live with us,
Yeah.
and so I think I got that ingrained in me to help others.
Yeah.
And so
And give them a chance.
yeah.
Yeah. I
I
love
never really
that.
thought about that before, but that's probably why.
It's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And it's also uncommon.
It is.
It's not easy to get people motivated to serve above themselves these days, and you've been doing it your whole life.
But it's catching because in the Lions Club where we started the Leo Club, and
And Leo's are the
Rotary-
high school kids that are
high school
exposed to
kids.
the Lions Club.
and they actually have done over 1,000 hours of volunteer services each year in the last couple of years.
1,000 per
over
year?
1,000. Yeah.
That's amazing. What kind of volunteerism do they do?
Oh, they help out with like prayer breakfast.
Yeah, they serve at the community prayer breakfast.
They collect food
Okay.
and take it to the pantry. They actually help at Fish several times.
That's a lot of hours of volunteer.
A lot of things that happen in school, and they volunteer to do that and help out. So
That's amazing.
yeah,
Wow, good for them. I love seeing that for that generation. It's like that giving heart. They'll stick with
Well,
them.
like I said, you're laying a foundation that will carry on long after you get tired of doing it. When you're playing all golf, you have laid down a foundation
I'm
for
getting there. I'm getting there.
for other people to kind of pick up where you might leave off. So it's been delightful.
And it's interesting to me, Lions Club motto is we serve.
Serve.
And then for Rotary, what did you service above?
Service above self.
Above self. It's all about service. So these
Actually, the interesting part is if you go back to the history, those two individuals that started it, both were from Chicago at the same time.
Really? Is that
Almost the same year.
Okay. Wow, I didn't know that.
My philosophy is I think one, was trying to get the businesses, and
Yes.
the other one was doing another area that.
but they
So
knew
they
it was a
split.
need. Yeah.
But they have the same. In fact, if you do the meetings and everything, it's the same structure.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's amazing. And,
Okay.
and like Paul Harris Awards,
Right.
you got the Melvin Jones Award.
Okay.
And the foundations are the same.
Isn't that
It's
something?
almost a carbon copy.
That is
Beautiful.
what-
How they work.
So for some of the other kids that are in our community, how would they learn more about either Interact or the Leo's Club and maybe become part of the organization too?
Well, they have forms at the office.
Okay.
High school office.
At the high school
You can
offices?
go there
Okay.
and pick up a form and then get a hold of any of the kids that are
Yeah.
in the program.
And like come to a meeting or just kind
they
of
have
visit
meetings.
for a minute and see what they think if they're a good fit?
They have meetings
Okay.
once a month.
Oh, that sounds great. So easy to get
Yeah,
started.
Right.
Oh, that's amazing.
And doesn't cost anything either.
Okay.
That's a big draw.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's a big draw.
Just manpower.
Yeah. One of the other things that you had chatted about was the Fairborn street card. And I would love to know more about that.
I don't know about that, so I'm kind of anxious to hear this.
Learning.
I
We're
should have
learning
brought
from
that
Fred.
with me. But anyway, so back when the center, community center stopped, then there was another group of us that got together that we wanted to create something. We've tried to do the community center and open that up someplace, but you couldn't get the volunteers. You had to have somebody that to pay.
Okay.
And we didn't have the money. So
Got it.
So the next best thing is, what do you do to help person? Well, let them know where to go to get help. So we created this trifold, the street card.
Okay.
And so it's and the motto is hands up and not hands down.
Okay.
We're going to help you get back on your feet. So it's a list of every organization in Greene County that you can call with a phone number. You can call to get help, and we got them like mental health and suicide and
Okay.
and housing. And then we'll also have places where they can get free meals,
Okay. That's
clothing, and so you need anything, it's in that form.
And where can they find the form?
So we hand them out to the police, the fire,
Okay.
firemen all have them.
Perfect.
And then we give them at the chamber, the library,
Okay.
YMCA, the senior
I
center,
love that.
and the churches. I send them a soft copy of the thing so they can run a copy off if they want to.
And how many churches did you say are in Fairborn?
Over 60.
Over 60. That is,
Yeah.
that's shocking to me. I had no idea.
No, there's probably only about 30, 40 that are they call active
Okay.
in the community.
Yeah. But 60 churches, that's really.
I think every one of them has a float in the 4th of July parade.
Yeah.
Every
We
one of
have the
them.
best parade.
We do got a great parade.
Yeah, that's incredible. Let's see. What were some of the other things that you were thinking? What's on your?
I just want to make sure we cover everything with you that you want covered. I think we've hit all the highlights that are on the paperwork that we've got.
Yeah, and just making sure that we have the contact information for people that want to know how they can help in all of the different areas. I know that you've done such an extraordinary job of bringing resources together and then distributing who needs what and who has what.
We can put links too. There will be links in the podcast for the Fairborn Christmas Project, Christmas in Action, Fairborn Rotary, Fairborn Lions, and the street card thing. I do want to know where well, you just told us where people can access it.
Yeah.
But we'll make sure there's links for all that stuff as well.
For sure. And you,
And then another thing that's going to change this year is the 4th of July parade and the block party. Well, the block party, they tried to put it in a community park last year.
Right.
It wasn't as successful as they
Yeah.
wanted. So they're going to be going back downtown again.
good. Yay.
And
That's a good thing.
which
Graham's
goes
happy.
back to Dr. Horton, because I promised him I'd keep the Heritage Days going,
Oh, nice.
which I didn't really tell
Actually,
him.
I'll send you a picture.
wonderful.
I've got a picture of you and I because you were dressed like Wilbur and Orville,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And I do have that. I'll find that picture somewhere. That'll fit in here somewhere.
I still ride the hay ride. That we from 4 to 6. During the block party, we go and take a hay ride over to the log cabin and then drop them off.
Yeah.
The reason I go is to make sure they drop off, and then they go through the cabin, and then we have some of this historical society people giving a little briefing and showing them around history of the log cabin, and then we come back around and pick them up, drop another. So we do that for about 2 hours.
Great.
And I usually dress up in my Wilburite.
flying cap and
Yeah.
goggles and all that. Get up.
That's perfect.
It's wonderful.
I just love that. So is there, what would you say is the greatest need in our community right now, Fred?
Yeah, probably homelessness and the because of fish and they can always get food if you have
Right.
them. They always get clothes.
Yeah.
And but the homelessness is, and some of them don't want to get off the street.
Right.
But so we're trying to work through the Christian Alliance, figuring out a way of there's some in Xenia homes like Hope,
Yes.
New Hope, and but we don't have anything in Fairborn.
Got it.
So that's one of the things we're looking at right now is how to
Through the
create
Christian Alliance.
a place that you can
Get off the street.
get off the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
It used to be that they'd go to the churches, but then
Yes.
after COVID and
Right.
Changed everything.
it's not working.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that, even in small town USA, that is becoming an issue. You would think that not so much, maybe big cities and all that.
Right.
But that's becoming an issue pretty much anywhere you go. So,
They can sneak into Y and stay over, but
Yeah.
if they mess up, then you get kicked out.
Right. Yeah.
But,
Exactly.
Another one is that we're starting up again that we didn't do because of COVID is the Christmas in Action.
Okay, and that's separate from the Fairborn Christmas Project, right?
Christmas in Action is where we have one day a year where we go in and get needy families, but it has to be an owner, and $30,000 for one person family and $40 for a 2-person family is the criteria. Is
Okay.
all it is. And then we'll go in and do repairs.
Oh, wow.
Paint, do the shrubs and
Yeah.
paint, replace. We used to replace windows and we even did a roof once. But we're not going to do that this year.
Yeah.
We're just going to limit it to some simple stuff.
sprucing up.
And that's considered the Christmas project or the
Christmas in Action.
Christmas in
and that's going to be the
Action.
10th of August.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the summertime.
10th of August.
Got it. Okay.
And so
Oh, that's
I'm looking for.
amazing.
I'm the volunteer coordinator for that. So if you want to
hear
volunteer,
that?
get a hold
Yeah.
of me. But we're going to send out all the forms of the churches and
Okay.
try to get some of them to sponsor a home,
Mm-hmm.
those kind of thing. So that's another thing that we're doing, and that's helps
Oh, for
improve the
sure.
community.
And it's for Fairborn specifically.
Right.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Wow. Wow. It's not very
We got
handy.
people like this in our
I
town.
know. Isn't it amazing? We told you guys he's amazing. Now you've heard it for yourself.
There's a lot of good things going on in Fairborn.
No question.
Yeah. That's because there's a lot of good people here, like you,
Yeah,
Fred.
there is.
Yeah.
Well,
we
thank
appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for being in our town. Thank you for joining us today. This has been wonderful.
It's been so
and this
good.
will be a great episode. You're in good company. We've had Tom Kirsch, we've had Dottie, we've had Christy. We've got a long list.
Great people.
Yeah, we've got a good community, and that's kind of our goal is
We
to just get
just
everybody
wanna build a
understanding that
community.
there's a connection to be made.
Yeah.
And
Whether you need help or need to help.
yeah,
If you have a
yes,
need
indeed.
help or need
So,
more help. Yeah.
if people like what we're doing with our podcast, what would we suggest maybe they should do?
Dr. McCoskey.
Smash that subscribe button.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You go to the podcast and you smash the button that says subscribe.
Subscribe. That way you won't miss an episode.
And you like and share and you
share
leave a
with
nice review if there are things that you appreciate.
Yeah.
But our goal is to connect people like this with people like you. And
And our subscribers right now are eligible to win a prize after we hit 500
right on.
subscribers
We're
too.
at- how many are we? Are we at 100?
Not quite. So there's plenty of room. Yeah. Graham, will you do a little demonstration? Dun da da da. There we go. These
So
are from
this-
local businesses.
yeah,
And we
local
have more
businesses.
things to add. Some people have suggested some local honey, some local business gift cards. So we're going to keep stockpiling that too.
Right on. So
Yeah,
somebody's going to take home a lot of Fairborn.
a lot of Fairborn, and they don't have to be local too. I know a lot of our subscribers are not local, but they will enjoy a taste of
We'll
Fairborn.
give you a reason to come and visit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
Fred,
you so
thanks
much,
again.
Fred. This was so good.
Enjoyed it. Sharing.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thanks.
All right. We'll see you soon. Bye.
See you next time.
Don't stop me. Don't stop me now.
The last general was just getting ready to leave and asked me what I was going to be doing. And I said, well, if I can have a job like this, I'd like to use my degree, which I got there as systems management, master's in systems management. So, and he was on his way to be President Reagan's military advisor.
Isn't that something?
Oh my gosh,
Isn't
it's
that
wild.
something?
So he called Jack Chatton, who is here at the 4-star here,
Okay.
said, I need a job for this boy.
Were you the boy?
I was the boy. So Jack, I got a letter. I can't find it. It's in my file someplace. That says, John, I found a place for your boy. We'll take good care of him. Task his capabilities to the utmost. Jack.
That's amazing.
About a month later, my son was changed to right back.
And that,
So,
what's the moral of that story?
Well, how people has helped me all along.
Yeah, but it's also about how you show up. You know, it's about how you show up.
You got to perform.
Exactly. Yeah. If you were showing up like a slacker, you wouldn't have been treated the way you were treated. That's for sure.
And people want to help you.